Hey folks, hope you guys are having a good Saturday. It is, what is it? It's the 17th of September, which means we're about 4 or 5 days away from the start of autumn, which should begin here in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, it'll be the beginning of spring for you guys in the Southern Hemisphere. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, that will begin on September 22nd, Bilbo and Frodo's birthday. An auspicious day for sure for people who like hobbits, I guess. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a really good day. Let me dial down the music a little bit. I am going to do a game stream right now, and then we will also do another stream, another book cover stream. I want to do a sci-fi cover today, so I'll do that in a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and set that up right now, kind of as I'm talking. So, an interesting thing happened this week that is always gives you a little bit of an uncanny feeling, and that is I had a student die. So, a former student of mine, a student I had for about 3 years when I worked in California as a high school teacher. So, this is my days as a public school teacher, which didn't last that long, but I did it for a while, and I had taught college as well. So you end up with this interesting and uncanny thing where 20 years ago, this kid's name, his name was Ivan. Everybody called him Chino, and he was an extremely funny guy, really warm personality. He's the guy who smiles pretty much all the time. He was a great music student. A lot of fun to have around, always really supportive of other people, other students, and was he was a good brother to his older brother. His older brother had some mental health issues at one point, and he was really supportive of that, and he was just a really great guy. And he died somehow, I don't know any of the details, but he joined the Navy straight out of high school. And so this is a thing where basically I don't think it was a combat casualty, because I haven't heard about any combat. I heard he died somewhere near Israel. So, it could be, but I haven't gotten any news about U.S. soldiers being killed. Usually there's a little bit of news on that when something happens, because we've been kind of in a combat lull. There's been 20 years of war, so there's this uncanny feeling where 20 years ago, it was, it was your friends. It was your friends being injured or being killed. And then it's 20 years later, it's now your students. It's almost like your children, like it's happened to your children. That's how long we've been in a protracted phase of either high or low grade combat. It's a really bizarre thing. But anyway, if you want to remember him, his name was Chino. You can say a prayer for him. Absolutely warm and generous guy. He's the guy who first called my lute case the toddler coffin, because it's like this huge case for a Baroque lute, and it's oblong shaped like a coffin, like it's a coffin for a toddler. And then it became something that my son would call it, and I even had a video of my son crawling in and out of the lute case. He's also a student that pointed out to me at one point, I was sitting here working. I was working in the classroom or something, writing on something, and I go, I think I'm not very laid back. And he goes, "You're just figuring that out now." It's I'm not a very laid back guy. So if you've ever, California has a certain feel to it, and I kind of operate in that mode, which is laid back but not laid back. People are very casual and generally friendly, but they're also very intense about what they're doing. So people in California are really, 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 really busy all the time. And that's basically me. There's not a lot of slow feeling. Here in the South, here in Texas, people take it a little bit easier. There's just not as much rush. It's almost like the 90s didn't quite leave. I have this nostalgia for the 90s and the early 2000s, because there wasn't this rush on life. There wasn't this feeling like life is running away from you in the rearview mirror, and there's not enough time for you to make money. There's not enough time for you to do things. This perpetual feeling like you're not doing enough, and life is just an extended nonstop work, which has really come into existence for my generation after the mid 2000s. But here in the South, it's not, it's not as intense like that. There's a lot more of a casual, easygoing feeling. It's kind of like King of the Hill. People are happy to like sit around in the alley and drink beer. People are happy to just goof off and do nothing during the day. That's not really me. I'm a pretty high intensity guy. I'm always working towards a goal, is what it feels like. I'm constantly doing, and if I'm not doing, then I start to feel lazy and idle, and that's not the best. It's not like the healthiest way to view life, And it's like I force myself to do things which are fun every day in order to not think about work when I go to sleep. So when I finish what I'm doing, I make myself play a game or read a book so that I can go to sleep, because otherwise, the anxiety will be too high. You just be like, oh, I got to do this and this. There's so many things to do. Thoughts on the national teacher shortage? There's no national teacher shortage. There's never been a teacher shortage. There's no teacher shortage. So that's my thoughts on it. And if you're a teacher trying to find a job, you'll realize that there's not a teacher shortage because it's hard to find a job. So this has been the case. Now, the problem is they hear teacher shortage, and there's only teacher shortages in very specific areas, basically math, like secondary level math teachers. You can't find enough of those. And that's because people who are skilled at mathematics or have a math degree can make more money elsewhere, or make the same amount of money with less headaches and effort. Like, there's a lot of effort that's required to actually teach if you want to do a good job at it. And there's a lot of headaches, there's a lot of paperwork, there's very litigious risk involved with being a teacher. So if you can make more money just doing anything else, like being a bookkeeper, you're just going to do that. You're not going to bother with teaching. So yeah, there's no teacher shortage. You should try getting a job as a history teacher or a PE teacher. You'll find that there's no jobs available because there's no teacher shortage. So no, there's not really a teacher shortage. There's a teacher shortage in very specific areas, or administrators will call it a teacher shortage because they don't want to hire people. So they have a bunch of applicants and they're all second-year teachers, second-year teachers, and they're like, no, we want someone with 20 years of experience. We can't find them. There's a teacher shortage. You hear this about labor shortage all the time. They'll post something, 100 people will apply for the job. There's not a labor shortage. They won't hire anyone, and they'll complain. Then they'll hire it out to like a contracting company because they didn't like any of the applicants. They're all too young. They're not experienced. They're not old enough. There's no 45-year-olds with 20 years of experience applying for a $15 an hour job. That's the labor market right now, is that there's tons of excess labor. We're not at full employment, not anywhere close to full employment of our economy, but the employment sector is not really willing to take the risk of hiring employees unless they feel like they're going to be really good and an extreme value for them. That's just the way it is. So yeah, there's not really a teacher shortage that I've seen. You can hop on Edgeone right now and see a bunch of different job postings, and what will end up happening is that administrators will often elect to hire nobody because they don't want to hire like a first or second year teacher that they think is going to be bad. Obviously, they'll fire a lot of teachers after 2 years and just rehire the same position because they don't want to give the teacher tenure. So you end up with kind of a dance of lemons where there's so many teachers looking for jobs because they get pink slipped after 2 years, or they're new to the profession, and there's so few jobs in some areas that a lot of people just leave education because it's easier not to. So like, good luck finding a job that's near you, anywhere near where you want to geographically live. Yeah, you could find a job in San Francisco making $37,000 a year teaching elementary school, but you can't live in San Francisco on that. So yeah, maybe it's hard to hire a teacher in San Francisco, but no, there's no national teacher shortage. It's not reality when you get to when rubber meets the road. There's an excess of teachers. David, do you homeschool? Yes, I do. That's why I quit my day job, was so that I could stay home and homeschool my kids and, work on what I consider my real career, which is writing books. So, oh, by the way, new books. Oh, hold on. Here it is. All right, so pre-order for Alshfalda. That's a fantasy book. Another pre-order. You've actually probably heard or seen most of the content in this one. which is Afterglow, Gen Y. It's basically a collection of stories about my generation, about people born from the 70s into the 80s, and sort of just that perspective. Like the 90s were really different. If you didn't grow up in the 90s, if you were born after the 90s, there's a lot of perspective there that you might be missing. So that might be interesting. I've written a lot of stories about it. If you grew up in that time, there's a lot that might resonate with you. And indeed, these stories have been pretty popular on my channel, and I've done audiobook versions of them. So I'll have a regular Audible version coming out at some point. It takes them months to approve Audible books at this point. So I can't give any kind of timeline on an Audible audiobook. But the ebook will be coming out in November. It's basically already done. I might add a little bit more content to it before it goes live. But I like to set up a pre-order so that I have like a deadline for what I'm doing, so that after that point, I can't add any more and it's done. Like it gives a finality to it. Like this is the timeline that I'm working on. The fantasy book I actually wrote 2 years ago at this point. And I wrote it and I was going to put it out in 2020, but then the whole election thing happened and my sales went like over a cliff. People just stopped buying books, at least in my circle. Like they were too, like morale matters, and the morale was really low. So people felt really depressed and upset about the election, and so they stopped buying books. It was a very, it was a very disturbing part. So anyway, does your background in education, in New Mexico, they deploy the National Guard to fill classroom vacancies. Well, maybe there's not enough people who want to live in New Mexico. But trust me, the rest of the country, there's no teacher shortage. That's kind of nonsense. Be a teacher and try to find a job. You won't find a job. They'd probably rather have the National Guard in than hire teachers, because most teachers are really bad at their jobs, let's be honest. At least 50% are just bad at their jobs. And then the other 50% end up quitting because the system's so bad. Have you read Tolkien's short stories and Tales from Perilous Realm? Yes, I do, and I've talked about them. So I've talked about Leaf by Niggle. I know I've talked about Leaf by Niggle. So that's one that I've done an analysis on that you can look up on the channel. Yeah, I totally read those. Anyway, as a homeschool person, does my background in education help me? It does, because I know how to teach, right? But you do not need a background in education to teach a kid one-on-one. I would say, so let's talk about what teacher skills actually are for a second. Because a lot of people who are thinking about getting into education don't really know what teacher skills actually are. Like, what skills do you need to be a teacher? Well, to be a classroom teacher, it's much less, I'm talking about like not the collegiate level. I've taught at the collegiate level. That's a little bit different set of skills. But at the elementary on up, the main education, like public education levels, what skills do you need? Well, it's not so much your ability to present information. So that is actually a very, very small part of the job, believe it or not. So being a really good lecturer, it helps a little bit because you can be good at conveying information, but it's really mostly classroom management. It's knowing how to manage 30 kids who don't want to be there and are not interested in learning and don't care about what you have to say. So it's being able to get those 30 kids to not burn down the classroom and get those 30 kids to do the schoolwork that they need to do in order to receive a certification from you, a letter grade on their subjects, and to hopefully learn something during the process. Most learning is really repetition for the things that matter. So reading, writing, and arithmetic, those are the big three. Those are the three things that I always do every day with my son. And then I'm always doing something else too. Like we'll do something with science. We are out in the world learning about things constantly. Like my son probably has more general knowledge than a typical school kid, even though I don't use a lot of science books. And the reason is because we go out and we learn things that are right in front of us. They have practical knowledge because I know about those things, rather than doing like kind of semi-contrived little science lessons inside of a classroom where there's no practical application of what you're doing when you're only talking about concepts, not reality. Like, it's a different thing to go out and we're going to catch, we catch a blue-tailed skink and we examine him, and we look at him, we talk about what reptiles are and physiology of reptiles. That's a different kind of lesson than what you get in a classroom. In a classroom, you're never going to get a lesson like that. So you don't have to be a great teacher to go out and catch lizards and frogs and teach your kid about lizards and frogs, right? You just have to be somebody who's wanting to take time with your kid to go learn about lizards and frogs or whatever scientific thing you want. Growing crops. I think what we might do for a project this year is make acorn flour, like make some acorn bread, like what the American Indians did for a long time. So it's a little opportunity to kind of connect with history, with our ancestors, and we'll collect some acorns. We'll learn how to grind them. We'll learn how to leach them, because there's tannic acid in them that will basically make you barf or kill you if you eat enough of them. So acorns are not actually very edible in their natural form. So grind them up, leach them by basically washing them, and maybe we'll leach them at the creek like the way the Indians did it. See how hard that is. We'll have to dry them. We'll dry them with an oven, because that's much quicker. What they used to do is put them in big baskets and turn them over every day and let them dry for months. Anyway, famine, this is a fun fact. Famine was not really a big thing for Indians in, say, California and in various parts of the United States, because they lived off the permaculture of the land to such high efficiency that they were never out of food. There were so many acorns to eat that they just never really needed to plant crops. And so there was never a crop failure. There's never a failure of the oaks to drop acorns. They dropped acorns year after year forever, so you could eat as many acorns as you could gather every single year. There was really no famine for these tribal people that lived with this permaculture lifestyle. So anyway, we might do that as a project. Now that's a really cool project. We learn about all the science that's involved with that. You learn history with that. Where would this lesson fit in public school? It's where would you do it? How would you do it? You really couldn't do that in public school. You're much more limited, because you have to control the kids in a little box. You have to keep them in a little box and keep them tightly controlled. Most of public education is really about socialization. Now, when normal people hear socialization, they think, my kid's going to make friends. Real socialization is learning to respect authority and follow the rules. So that's what your job as a teacher really is to do, is to teach kids to follow the rules, to keep them in line, to make them do what you need them to do. And then that will allow you to make them practice reading, writing, and arithmetic enough to where they can read, write, and do math. So reading, it's mostly repetition. Teach a little concept, and then it's just read, 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 read. The more you read, the better you get at it, right? I don't know how to pronounce this word. Well, we'll sound it out. Now you know the word. Read, 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 read. Right, here's how you make a letter, and then you practice it thousands upon thousands of times until you can write the letter. So writing is all about practice. You have to practice it. So to get a whole classroom of 30, 40 kids sometimes to practice their writing, you have to teach them to behave and obey the rules. So the majority of what you do in a classroom is managing the classroom. The number one thing administrators will complain about with new teachers, and why they fire teachers, why they get rid of teachers, it has nothing to do with their ability to present information. It has nothing to do with their knowledge of the subject area, and it has nothing to do with how much they care about kids. It's 100% they can't control the classroom. If you have a teacher that can't control the classroom, you got to get them out of there, because it's not only will the kids learn nothing, they have to be controlled to learn something in the classroom environment. Not only will they learn nothing, but it's a safety hazard. If that teacher can't control the classroom, other kids can get hurt. Other kids can be seriously damaged or injured. Other kids can be abused. There can be psychological abuse between kids, bullying. If you're not controlling the classroom, kids are at risk. If you're not able to keep the behavior under control, then your kids are in danger. And frankly, as an administrator, that's a much bigger risk to you than the kid learning or not learning. And they're not going to learn if they're in danger anyway. So you got to get rid of the bad teachers. You got to boot them and replace them with whatever you can that will keep the kids behaving. You'd be better off with no teacher. Put the National Guard guy in the room, make sure the kids shut up, and just give them worksheets all year. They'll actually learn more than if they were with a teacher that couldn't control the classroom and actually tried to teach the information and knew the information. Worksheets and kids doing repetitive work will make them learn more than them actually having a knowledgeable teacher who can't get them to do the work, who can't control the classroom. So with homeschool, you don't really have to worry about that. You're just micromanaging one kid. Now you have a relationship with that kid where it's like, I have a different relationship with the kid than with the student. The student is impersonal. With my son, it's personal. So I have to manage him in a little bit different way than I would manage a bunch of kids in a classroom. So yes, the skills transfer, but the biggest skill is just not an issue in homeschool, which is classroom management. And if you have like 6 kids, it can be an issue because you have 6 kids at 6 different ages because of the way the family works. So that actually can be a challenge that is nothing like in the classroom. In the classroom, it's 30 12-year-olds. It's 30 10-year-olds. Everybody's within a year and a half of each other. So they all have similar behaviors for the most part, unless you have somebody who's, you always have like 1 or 2 kids that are like really outside the mainstream as far as behavior goes. But you figure out how to deal with them. With your 6 kids, you may have a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old, right? So the 12-year-old needs a different kind of set of interaction to keep him on task than a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old really just needs to be exploring and not bothering other kids. So doing 6 kids can be really challenging, and it's a challenge that you're not going to find in the classroom at all, and it's one you're going to have to figure out on your own with your relationship with your kids. Luckily, you know your kids and you love your kids, so figuring out, hey beautiful, hi princess, you're coming in, huh? You want to show everybody your princess dress? She just wanted to show the people her princess dress. Hi beautiful. Hi. Do you see yourself in the camera? Oh, you froze me.
You can't talk when you're frozen.
I broke the ice. Okay, I gotta get back to work, baby. You're so beautiful. Okay, I'll put you down. Go play with Ryan. Honey bun, you gotta come in and relax. Are these kids stressing you out? All right. Yeah. So anyway, homeschooling is a different beast entirely because none of those classroom skills are really going to transfer over. And if you get a good curriculum, you don't really have to have a deep knowledge of the subject matter. The curriculum will guide you as a teacher and teach you how to present the information enough to get your kid going on whatever you need to do. So curriculums and textbooks, they have the information you need in it as a teacher. So you don't really need to be a credentialed teacher to homeschool your kids. You just don't. You take a bunch of classes with credentialing that don't even apply to the classroom, and then you get with like a mentor teacher, and it's like, okay, this is how you manage a classroom, because if you cannot control what's going on in your classroom, you will never communicate anything to kids. It's just there. You must have mastery over that environment, or kids are not going to learn at all. So most bad teachers really are bad teachers because they can't get kids to sit down and be quiet and do their work. And great teachers are able to do that. I mean, good teachers are able to do that. Great teachers are able to do that, plus present information in a way that kids really remember. That's the difference between great, good, and terrible. You could have the greatest lesson you've ever designed. If the kids aren't being quiet and listening to you, then it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So there you go. Do you get offer help from other parents? In my country, it's very common like-minded families help each other. Right now, no, because I just moved here. I'm sure I'll find more. She cast freeze on me, which makes me freeze. My poor wife homeschools all 6 of our kids. Yeah, it's a challenge. Were you good at classroom management? In general, I was. My general feedback was, yeah, you can really... The fact that I had like junior high bands full of 80 kids and I could keep them in line. I found that like different levels of kids need different things to keep them going. So like middle school kids in particular are really active. They're hyperactive. It's just part of being 12 and 13, right? Like flooded by sex hormones and stuff. So if you have bunches of things that they're doing, if it's like you fill up all the time with active things where they're actively doing something like playing an instrument or talking or doing some kind of activity where they move their body, then like classroom management's easy because they want to do that and they're too busy doing something to get distracted and be disruptive. High school kids is different. They're much better able to work independently, and you're almost always going to have an easy time managing a high school classroom because the kids they've been socialized at that point. They know that it's about doing their work. And you might have one or two kids that are disruptive, and you just kind of figure out how to deal with them as individuals. And the elementary school level, it's all about enforcing rules over and over again. Everything's a rule. It's constantly reinforcing behavior. That's what you do at an elementary school level. So you do different things for different levels of kids, depending on what you're doing. I've taught at every level. I've taught preschool, elementary school, high school, and college, university, right? Taught at every level. And I'm teaching you. But, so I've taught at every level, and every kid is different. The college kids are paying to be there, so your presentation skills are the most important thing. So if you're teaching at the college level, you need to be a good lecturer, a good presenter. If you're teaching at the elementary school level, that's borderline irrelevant. It's all about enforcing rules. And if you're at the high school level, presentation skills are a little more important. Thoughts on midterms coming up? No thoughts. No real thoughts. Honey bun, what are you doing? Get out of there. Honey bun. Honey bun, get out of there. What are you doing? Get out. Oh my gosh, you got all tangled up in this controller wire. Here. Goodness. Here. Go on, honey bun. Ah, now we got a cat. All right, whatever. I'll throw the cat out in a minute. Okay, so there's new books. We got that. Key role of education is to bring people in line with their genes narrative. It's really I think that's very, very, very secondary. That's like way down the list. It's really the socialization thing. Because if you socialize kids and you teach them to respect authority, then they're going to fall in line with the state. The ideology is really secondary to the obedience part of the narrative. So yeah, I guess that's my thought on that. Anyway, let's go ahead and play some games. Homeschooling is still a lot more rare than people realize. It needs to be more, obviously. Did you listen to the new Megadeth album? No, I didn't. Kind of after what he did with Dave Ellefson, I just don't have a lot of interest in Dave Mustaine's stuff right now. Not super interested in him as a person. What level was your favorite to teach? Definitely at the university level. It was also the worst paying by far. So it was the worst in terms of money and the most satisfying to teach in terms of, I guess, gratification. Let's see here. Let's get this going. Where's my Vita? Do a little dance here to get this to show up. Takes a second to read the massive 0.5 terabyte card I have here. With like an entire, not the entire catalog, but a strong mix of PSP and PS1 games. All right, here we go. Play in a well-lit room. Man, I never play games in a well-lit room. I'm just thinking about that. It's like, play in a well-lit room. Why? I don't know why. Does the TV get any less bright if the lights around you are bright? It doesn't hurt your eyes any worse to look at a TV in the dark than it does to not look at a TV in the dark. Do you know what I mean? It's actually a very silly warning. David Mustaine being unpleasant. What's next? Violent Mortal Kombat games? Let's see here. Corel Prison. That's where we're at, right? Yeah, going back to Invincible, yeah, the characters were like really cartoonish. What did this guy say? This place is heaven. Yeah, they're lying, right? This is one of those lying things. Man with a gun on his arm, never heard of him. So they know where he is. Southwest, and you'll meet him. So we can go southeast or northeast. Oh, let me see if there's a... Did I have a state saved here? I don't think that's it. I think I save regularly. I'm gonna go fire. You sell your music on CD? I do, technically. But I haven't sold it in a while because Amazon killed their media on demand service, which has made it really a lot more annoying to sell CDs. You know, like I sell them through my Bandcamp. I don't even know if I still have any because I haven't sold any since in a long time. I need to put out all the stuff I've done over the last 2 years. I'm going to put out on an album, I guess soon here. I'm not sure when I'll do it. I have so many books to do, but yeah, I'll do that. So that CD I'll probably call Return, because I returned to Texas. You can get the idea. Shinra. You new? Then go and pay your respects to Mr. Coates. Here he is. Never seen your face around here before. Going up? Yeah, up. You don't seem to understand how things work down here. This is the Gold Saucer's garbage dump, and that makes all of you scrubs. The only way to get back up there is to win the Chocobo race. But it's not as easy as you rookies think. Of course, if you get the boss's permission, you'd be in a different story, but you'll never get that. Ha 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 ha. What were we talking about? Yeah, music on CD. I'll probably put out an album, the other album this year. So the first one's called Memories Adrift. You can listen to it for free on YouTube, streaming services. It's out. So I'll do physicals for the next one as well. I still have some physicals. I think of the first one sitting around, but a lot of the first wave that I made had errors in them, so I had to like send out new ones. Which is unfortunate. I had like an error with like a couple of the files. I set the wrong file in for at least one song, which is my fault. Do you sell your guitar? Do I sell them on streams on CD? Yeah, some of them. Memories Adrift has a bunch of them. And yeah, I can sign them. I usually sell them through like the Bandcamp page, but I haven't done that in a while. Where I was living before, it was like really very difficult to just get to the mailbox to mail things, just like get to the post office. And I have 2 kids, it's kind of hard for me to go around mailing stuff. So I try not to do too much of it because it's, you know, I don't promote like me mailing you stuff very hard. I like buy it on Amazon, then they send it to you in a timely fashion. You don't have to wait a week for me to try to get down to the mailbox. He stole my gill. And they stole a hyper. Saw Megadeth live a month ago. I've seen him live a couple times. Thought they were pretty good. I saw Dave Mustaine turn 61 the other day. It's wild. What's your favorite game of all time? That's really hard. It's really hard to say. Megadeth was opening for Five Finger Death Punch. Five Finger Death Punch is still around? No, I already came from here. Right. How difficult is it to get tenure at a college and university? Wouldn't bother if you were a white male now. So it's not that hard. You have to apply for it, and then they give it to you. And in order to apply for it, you have to have published things in a research journal. In order to publish things in a research journal, you have to not be a white male, depending on what you're doing, right? So you have to concoct a couple things to publish in journals. No one reads the journals, so like in the arts department, it's all flim-flam. It's all flim-flam work. You publish a couple of articles in some journals. No one reads them, but the fact that you published them is good enough, and then they give you tenure. It's not hyper difficult to get, but they make it like a process at the university level. At the secondary level, it's automatic. Because teachers' unions are very good at what they do. So yeah, at the secondary level, it's like they just give it to you. You just get it after 2 years. Do I have any guilty pleasure bands that I like? I don't know. No, I'm pretty upfront about what I like. Can't think of any guilty pleasures. These guys only tell lies. Only lies. Not a one of them will tell you the truth. Just talk to them a couple of times and you'll get sick of them. Take you to the top, but you got to be picked as a chocobo racer first. I think we got to do the... Where do we go here? I don't remember this part. Should there be a strong union for adjuncts lecturers? There is a union. It's not a strong union. It's a bad one. It's the United Auto Workers was the union for adjunct professors when I was adjunct. And they basically would, physically threaten you if you didn't join the union and then do nothing. So most unions are actually bad. So this is the problem with teachers unions, is that they're actually really in a lot of ways they're bad for teachers. They won't support individual teachers very much at all. They are really only interested in getting union dues from as many teachers as possible. So $1,000 a year of union dues, that's what they want, and you're not really going to get anything in return other than they are good in the sense that they will control the legislature to ensure that there are as many teachers as possible on the payrolls. That's the emphasis on smaller classrooms, is to have more teachers. That's why teachers' unions want smaller classrooms. It's because that increases the number of teachers, which increases their revenue. It really doesn't have anything to do with learning. If it was learning, it'd be one-on-one. But no one really thinks this way because they don't. I guess because people don't think of incentives. Why does the union, why do they want smaller classrooms? I'm like, yeah, it might be better for kids. It is in some ways, but that's not why they do it. They do it because it's. Yes, I want to enter the chocolate races. To go get permission with the boss of this place. Who's the boss? You don't even know that? Oh, man. I'm trying to remember where the boss is. I can't believe there was like a Megadeth opening for Five Finger Death Punch. I didn't even know Five Finger Death Punch was still a band. I have never known anyone that listened to them in my entire life or thought they were remotely good. That sounds like a really bizarre arrangement. Got the bronze bangle back at least. I'm trying to remember where the teachers deserve higher wages. Depends on the teacher. Good teachers maybe deserve higher wages. Bad teachers deserve lower wages. I made close to $80,000 a year. I made like $78,000 a year plus benefits as a public school teacher. So to give you an idea of how much teachers actually make. And that was, that wasn't like, oh, I was in the system for 20 years. That was like my second year teaching. So you tell me if that's a good salary or not. You can decide for yourself if that's... See, what happens is people publish like the worst possible pay scale that no teacher can actually get. Like they'll see, oh, it's $37,000 a year for some elementary school teacher. And it's like, yeah, that's like the worst... you can't even get that because it would be with 0 extra hours over your... Just by getting your credential, you'll have 30 extra hours and be further on the pay scale. So it's actually kind of silly. So yeah, you tell me. You decide that for yourself. Where is the boss? How many hours did you teach at school per week? Hours actual teaching was 30 for full time, 30 hours a week, so 6 hours a day. And then you get paid for another hour of prep, making it 7 hours a day, and then you have lunches and breaks that make up the total 8 hours, right? So you only get to 40 hours a week if you include all the breaks and the preps and stuff. Go up and through the gate to the left. All right, thank you. I didn't see that. Up and through the gate. All right. Let's see. Oh, I thought I came from there. To give you an idea of scales, you can just look up teacher pay scales at like a local school district, and you'll get an idea of how much teachers get paid, and like versus how much people get paid there. I worked at a poor school district, and I got paid way more than the people in the community by a lot. Okay, you can actually go up this way. I see. That must be the boss. Hey, look, it's Baker, California. Man, the boss is really in a bad mood today. Or was it one of his better days? You get paid extra for having more hours over your bachelor's degree, which you will have by getting a teaching credential. Well, I learned an enemy skill. Matra magic. This is pretty brutal. My guys are gonna die here. Do you miss California? Not really. Is there anything worse about Texas? I don't know. There's always good and bad things about any area. The humidity is worse. But, I mean, it's like, do you want 90 degrees with humidity, or do you want 112 and everything's on fire and you can't breathe? I'll take the humidity, honestly. Like, my friends are having their houses burned down in California. Like, that's a huffle. Hey, they have hurricanes. Yep. And people's houses burned down in California. It's insane to believe that the teachers get hired. Well, they get hired. You got to have someone in the classroom, You have to think like an administrator. It's like you got to have someone in the classroom. And you have to be careful about, like, firing people because you could get lawsuits. But these are teachers often that will get fired after 2 years after every job because the administration does not want to give them tenure. It's better to unload them. Dine, is that you? Now that's a voice I haven't heard in years. A voice I'll never forget. I always hoped I'd be able to see you again someday. I knew you were alive somewhere. We had to get the same operation. Is the Texas coastline undesirable? I don't know. I mean, it's cheaper than the California coastline, but it just depends where. Like, Central Coast California is not that expensive. But it's also, like, over the mountains in the boondocks compared to, like, Southern California. Have you ever wrote or come up with a concept for a book that was originally fan fiction that you had to adapt to an original story? Nope. But it'd be really easy to do that, 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction originally. So, just change the name of the characters and boom, you got a new work. There you go. Most of the characters are operating in some kind of classic archetype anyway, so people don't notice that you just switch the name of the character. You just change a couple things around, and then it's original. So if you did that, it's really easy to make it your own original work. Very easy. And I encourage you to do so, because then you can publish it and make some money and maybe be the next 50 Shades of Grey. What's that? I hear her voice. I hear her voice, Eleanor's voice, begging me not to hate your rotten guts. That's why I didn't hunt you down. I know I was stupid. I'm not asking you to forgive me. But what are you doing in a place like this? Why you want to kill those that ain't even involved? Why? Why the hell do you care for? Are the people killed going to understand why? Are the people of Corel going to understand just hearing Shinra's excuses? I don't care what the reason is. All they give us are the artillery and stupid excuses. What's left is a world of despair and emptiness. You still want to hear why? All right, I'll tell you. Because I want to destroy everything. The people of the city. This city itself. The whole world. I got nothing left in this world. Krell, Eleanor, Marlene. Die, Marlene. Marlene's still alive. I went back into town, thought she was gone for sure. That is why I wanted to be by her side till the end. That's when I found her, found Marlene. She's in Midgar. Let's go see her together, all right? So, she's still alive. All right, Barrett. I guess that means you and I gotta fight. What? Eleanor's alone, all by herself. I've got to take Marlene to her. Dine, are you insane? Marlene wants to see her mom, don't she? Stop, Dine. I can't die yet. Oh, yeah? Well, my life's been over since then. Stop it. I don't want to fight you. Barrett. Cloud, you stay the hell out of it. This is my problem. At least they refilled my MP, you know. What are your thoughts on the pictures I generated with Stable Diffusion and posted on the New Pope Discord? I didn't look at all of them. You know, but it depends what purpose. Like, you can generate pretty good-looking images. The problem remains composition and things like faces, like just details being off, and hands especially. So, you know, it depends what you want to do with them. Like, I'm not particularly excited about things that I haven't done with without a specific purpose towards why I'm doing them. Like, this will be a good cover, or I'm going to use this art for something. Like, I thought about doing a visual novel issue. I haven't gotten back around to it because I have so many books I need to put out, you know, like these, I got to get these projects. I got to get these projects out. But I would totally use AI art to make a visual novel. Like, you could generate great backgrounds with it, like amazing backgrounds. And you could generate character portraits with it that are good enough. Or you could go and do, like, you know, I could pop them into Photoshop and just correct them a little bit. You know, like paint over them a little bit, just correct them. You know, I'm not the best visual artist, but I'm good enough to fix the painting. So I would totally use them for that. You know, you can make some really good looking character portraits and just kind of fix the little things that are wrong, and they'd look great in a visual novel. Absolutely great. I'm wondering if anybody's like figured out like doing anime character generators. I know there's some really like basic ones out there, but none that are using like AI art to make something really good. It wasn't just my arm back then. I lost something irreplaceable. I don't know where I went wrong. Don, I don't know either, man. Is this the only way we can resolve this? I told you, I want to destroy everything. Everything, this crazy world, even me. And what about Marlene? What's going to happen to her? Think about it, Barrett. How old was Marlene back then? Even if I did go to her now, she wouldn't even know me. And what's more, Barrett, these hands are a little too stained to carry Marlene anymore. Barrett. Give that pendant to Marlene. It was Eleanor's, my wife's memento. All right. Wow, Marlene's already 4. Barrett, don't ever make Marlene cry. Don? Don! Don! He's dying. That's bad. Don, me and you were the same. My hands ain't any cleaner. I shouldn't be able to carry Marlene either. Do you think GIMP is as good as Photoshop for perfecting AI pictures and designing book covers? It is not as good, but it can be good enough. Now, I would probably do text in something like Inkscape. Do the image work in GIMP and then do the text in Inkscape. Photoshop, there's way more to it. But you can get a lot done in GIMP. And then you can do a lot of great text effects in Inkscape or a similar program. You want something? I want to go up. Like I told you before, you got to get the boss's permission, then win the chocobo. Don's got his reasons and can't speak. So I got this instead. Yeah, but I want to go up. Right. Did you kill Don? You must have, or you'd never be holding that thing. So Don's dead. Maybe now the place will calm down a little. Di didn't care who anyone was. The hell do you know? Tonight he dines in hell. Right, I mean, no, I don't know anything. Sorry. Then, will you get us out of here? Huh? Oh, man, you guys are mistaken. I already told you there's only one way to get out of here. That's to win the Chocobo race. That's held up there in the gold saucer. And only one racer can go up at a time. Say what? No, really, even if you threaten me. Rule's a rule, I can't change it. If I do, the whole system down here will get messed up, and I can't do that. Okay, I'll let one go up there. After that, he's got to deal with Dio. All right, then. Cloud, you go up. We'll wait down here. Hurry and win that Chocobo race. Get us out of here. Yes, good luck, Cloud. Mr. Cotes, have you decided? All you need now is a manager and register and get a Chocobo. I happened to hear your story. Esther. I'll be your manager. Well, I have nothing against it, but this is Esther. She may look kind of funny, but there's no better manager in the races. That's so rude. Yeah, well, nice to meet you, Cloud. All right then, Cloud. I'll send you up the elevator. Esther will fill you in on the details. So that's what happened. I'll talk to Dio directly. You just concentrate on the race. Oh yeah, getting back to the other thing. There are many different types of chocobo jockeys. It's not only for criminals. Some people compete for the fame. Some people compete for the money. Some only for glory. And then there are people like you. Oh yeah, I'll teach you how to ride a chocobo. First use the select button to choose either auto or manual. In other words, either you control the chocobo or let it run on its own. But it's pretty hard to make the chocobo run the way you want it to. If the chocobo doesn't like you, it won't listen. You can't really help on this one, but most of the chocobos that I'll provide you with are mellow, and you should be able to handle them. Let's create a little save state here. In the mini game, use the square button to speed up and the X button to slow down. But if you go faster than the chocobo can handle, it'll lose its stamina really fast. And use the directional button to move the chocobo left and right. Use the circle button to get boost the speed. Of course your stamina runs out faster though. There are some bad-tempered chocobos that can't pace themselves and they'll lose their stamina pretty fast. For these kinds of chocobos, you should set the controls on manual and slow it down. Finally, some advice for the restless. Once the first and second chocobo cross the goal line, push the start button to end the race. You knew? Hi, Joe. Hey, Esther, you're looking pretty as usual. Thanks. Let me introduce you, Cloud. This is Joe, one of the top chocobo jockeys. Nice to meet you, Cloud. If you're with Esther, then. Right. He's an up-and-coming jockey. He's only been down here for a day, and already he made it up here. What? Oh, I see. So what did you do down there? Sorry, you're not supposed to ask about the past here. Pretty interesting. I'll have a feeling when we meet again. Then until we meet again, Cloud. I'll have to pull it up and look at your image. I'm going to check on the chocobo. You just wait here for a while. Like I came up with an image I might use for a book cover last night, but I'm going to need to composite it, kind of like I did the other week where I made a background. With the jockeys for the next race, please proceed to the paddock. I repeat. Go over here. What do I do? What do I do? Cloud. Thanks for waiting. I registered you in the next race. This is a chocobo I prepared myself. He won't lose easily. Oh yeah, you know how to ride one? Yeah, I got it. Oh, there's a summon materia right there? Okay, hold on. Let's look again. We'll just load the state. Take it easy, Jim. All right, here we go. Let's get past all this stuff. No, that's fine. I want stuff. This isn't like a very hard game though. So one of the things I have to remember, I was like, man, I want to get all this stuff from the Gold Saucer. It's like you don't really need it. Like you really don't need any of it to beat the game. There's very few places where it's even remotely difficult to get through a spot with Final Fantasy VII. It's definitely on the easy side as far as Final Fantasy games go. Not to say that it's bad as a result of that. It's just it's much easier than like Final Fantasy V, for instance. Was this it? There it is. There's Rama. Alright. We'll go ahead and make another save state. Yeah, I'll do a book cover stream after this. Did I set it up? Oh, did I not set it up? Let me set it up. I'm gonna schedule a stream real quick. What time is it? 2:11. We'll do it at after this. We'll do a book cover stream, and we'll do it for. Do it for. What time is it? Let's do it for 3 o'clock. And give me a break to eat and stuff. Use the bathroom. Cloud. This is a chocobo I prepared myself. He won't lose easily. I could actually do 2 simultaneous streams, which would be interesting. But I'll link the next one. Let's see here. There it is. What time is it now? It is 2:12. Yeah, I got it. And good luck. Let's try it out. I can't tell which one is me. This is actually like graphically pretty significant for the time. No. Where's my select button? There we go. Yeah, we gotta speed up here. Yeah. It's much harder than Mario Kart, guys. Alright. Let's load our state here. So I don't have to redo this a bunch of times. Aurelia, you're wearing a different dress. Go. Alright, here we go. And get to the rainbow part of the racetrack here. I still got second place. Alright, should I redo it to get... Should I redo it to get first? That's the real question. Too bad. You were so close. Let me find a better chocobo for you. We're here for a while, okay? I think we get something for coming in first right away, so... I don't remember. I'll try it again. Is your wife into Roman history too? Not really. I mean, since you named your daughter after the Restitutor Orbis. Restaurateur of the world. She's not as into it as I am. It's just a really pretty name. Aurelia means gold, or like aura, gold light. It means several different things. There's a Saint Aurelia. 4th century saint, I think. Oops, I selected. I don't know what I'm doing. Catch up to this purple guy. Oh, that's right. It goes this way. It's hard to tell like where you're going on this racetrack, you know what I mean? It's such a weird racetrack. And like the draw distance is weird. There's like this field of white. Like you go into a different room here. And it's like everything's really weird. Alright, first place. Easy. There we go. Good little song here. Emperor Aurelian, but there's also Marcus Aurelius. I'm more influenced by. Congratulations, now you're home free. Oh yeah, the owner told me to get this letter to you when you won. Boy, if you were reading this letter, then you must have won a victory that I am sure you earned. I heard about dying from Esther. Now that you are victorious, I promise that you and all your friends will get a full pardon and you will all be set free. And also, by way of apology, I prepared a little gift for you to use on your journey. Sorry I couldn't be there to tell you this in person, but I'm a very busy man. Sorry. Sincerely, Dio. A gift? Cloud, isn't it great? The assistant manager just stopped by and dropped off a buggy for you. Now you can go over deserts and rivers, no problem. Okay, Cloud, I'll be waiting outside. The letter continues. P.S. I just recently met Sephiroth. You must have a lot of fans with boys your age. Why don't you get his autograph? It seems he's headed towards the south of the river, towards Gongaga. Sephiroth. I guess this is goodbye. Yeah, well, if you ever get your own race, Chocobo, come back again. I'll take care of your registration and everything. I'll see you again. Alright, who do I want? This is a pretty good party, honestly, like, right here. Make a party of 3. I don't know who we need to level up here. I want to see this meeting between Dio and Sephiroth. Yeah, maybe Tifa. We got a range. I mean, this is a good party. Let's stick with this for now. Oh, yeah, if you go to the beaches near Gold Saucer and use Kate Sis, I forgot this. You can get something from them. How to drive the buggy. Press OK button to get on, press the cancel button to get off. Buggies can cross shallow rivers and deserts. You can even enter Costa del Sol and Junin by buggy by hitching a ride on the cargo ship. Alright. Yeah, let's put Kate Sith in there. Kashi or whatever. We can stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna probably save it here, and what time is it? Yeah, I'm gonna move the next live stream up a bit. I'm gonna move it up a little bit so that it'll. This is a really good stopping place for this. I'd like to add a second stream during the week, but it's kind of hard for time, and I have like a lot of stuff going on, you know. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here, and I'll move the next stream. Next stream says it's gonna go at 3, but I'll probably move it up a little bit. Let's move it up to maybe 2:45, so we can get done with everything quicker. Details. It's 3. What time is it? We'll do 2:45, and that'll be the next one. I 2 new books here. Let's link them real quick. I mean, I'm probably going to try to get 3 or 4 books out by the end of the year. I also forgot to link the current VII story, which I need to go make sure it's still updating. It's called Lawless Darkness, so check that out. How many? We have 4 episodes, I think. No, I have 6 episodes. 7 episodes. There's 7 episodes. It's on Kindle VII. If you're into Kindle VII, you can read it. If not, it'll come out as a regular book after I'm done publishing on Kindle VII. And yes, Bright Children will come out as a regular book as well. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that because I want to write the other parts to the entire story and just maybe put it out as like a trilogy. People can just buy the trilogy or buy it as like one big book. So that's coming down a little bit further later in the pipe, you know, later in the way things are working. I still do want to do a visual novel. So that is on the... There's so many projects I want to do, but it's just so hard to find time for them all. And I've got to really clear out these books that I've had sitting around, you know. I got to publish these books and get those promoted. So anyway, I appreciate everybody hanging out with me and all the questions and stuff. Before I go, let me open up Discord and let's just take a look at... yeah, some of the pictures that Hardwick generated. Like the facial pictures are all pretty good, but there's always like a little. Sometimes there's just a little detail that's off. Sometimes, but generally they'd be just fine for most character portraits as well. Depending on what prompt you're using to like. These are all stable diffusion, I think, which does faces better in a lot of ways. So the vampires are pretty good. You know, these are all pretty good faces to generate. I'm not sure what it's using to generate them all. I have to look a little bit more deeply into it. But you know, you could generate a face or a person with one, and then you create a composite image with another one, you know, with the background. That's always an option that you can do with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, lots of different ways that you can put these to use. All right, that's it. Take it easy. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one, and I'll be back in about 15-20 minutes to do. We'll try to do a sci-fi book cover and see how that goes. So take it easy. I'll see you in a minute, and if not interested in the book cover stuff, have a great rest of your day.